What if I told you China may already be testing a fighter jet so advanced it could shatter America's decades-long dominance in the skies? Forget everything you thought you knew about 5th-generation jets. The stealthy F-35s, the mighty J-20S. Those were yesterday's headlines. On the horizon now is the J-36, a machine wrapped in secrecy, whispered about in defense circles, and rumored to be the world's first true 6th-generation fighter. This isn't just another aircraft. The J-36 is a quantum leap in stealth, artificial intelligence, and electronic warfare, a plane designed not only to fly, but to command swarms of drones, to jam enemy radars, and maybe even to fight without a human pilot at all. But here's the real question. Is the J-36 a genuine breakthrough, or a carefully crafted illusion meant to intimidate the West? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see why the J-36 is more than just a jet. It's a bold statement of China's rising ambition, and perhaps the most dangerous wildcard in the future of aerial warfare. To understand the J-36, we have to rewind. Back in 2011, China unveiled the J-20 Mighty Dragon, its first real attempt at a stealth fighter. It was powerful, yes, but it came with limits. Its radar cross-section wasn't as small as America's F-22, and its engine still relied heavily on Russian designs. The J-20 was a leap forward, but it didn't scare Washington the way Beijing hoped. Meanwhile, the United States was already developing its next-generation air dominance program, an aircraft designed to leapfrog the F-35. Europe, too, was planning its own 6th-gen fighters, like the Tempest in Britain and the FCAS in France and Germany. For Beijing, the message was clear. Staying with the J-20 meant falling behind. China could no longer afford to play catch-up. And so, the strategy shifted. If the 5th generation belonged to America, the 6th would belong to China. The J-36 wasn't about matching the West anymore. It was about surpassing it. A fighter that could erase America's edge, dominate the skies over the Pacific, and declare that China was no longer just an imitator, but an innovator. Here's where the story turns murky. Officially, Beijing says almost nothing about the J-36. No flashy airshow reveals, no glossy brochures, just silence. And that silence is what fuels the rumors. Satellite images from remote Chinese airbases hint at strange, tailless silhouettes. Defense insiders whisper about black flights already taking place under the cover of night. Some claim the J-36 has already flown multiple test missions. Others insist it's all smoke and mirrors. Why so secret? Because in military power, perception is half the battle. By leaking just enough details, China can send shivers through Washington and Tokyo, without even proving the jet exists. And this is where the controversy burns brightest. Is the J-36 a real, operational prototype? Or is it a phantom? A psychological weapon designed to intimidate America and its allies? Every great military leap is born in shadows. And right now, the J-36 is either China's most ambitious gamble or its boldest bluff. Up close, the J-36 looks less like a fighter jet and more like something out of science fiction. Its tailless, diamond-shaped silhouette is designed for one purpose: to vanish. Smooth curves, angled fuselage lines, and D-shaped air intakes scatter radar signals like broken glass. No external weapons, no jagged surfaces, just a black ghost slicing through the sky. Unlike the J-20, the J-36 ditches canards entirely, trading them for a delta wing with outward canted vertical fins, a design similar to early concepts of America's NGAD and Britain's Tempest. The result? A jet that can remain stable at supersonic speeds while keeping its radar cross-section microscopic. But stealth is only half the story. 3D thrust vectoring nozzles let the J-36 twist and turn at impossible angles, outmaneuvering anything in close combat. Supercruise capability allows it to fly above Mach 1 without afterburners, reducing fuel burn, extending range, and masking its heat signature. With a claimed range of over 2,500 kilometers, it can threaten targets from Japan to Guam without refueling. Think about that. A single J-36, invisible to radar, maneuvering like a predator bird, could penetrate deep into enemy airspace before defenders even realize it's there. This isn't just a jet. It's a shadow built for dominance. A fighter jet is only as deadly as the weapons it carries. And here, the J-36 promises a future straight out of tomorrow's battlefield. Hidden inside its sleek fuselage is a large internal weapons bay, loaded with next-generation missiles. P-L-15, long-range air-to-air missiles, rumored to strike targets over 400 kilometers away, far enough to take out AWACS command planes or aerial refueling tankers long before they can retreat. A miniaturized hypersonic missile, allegedly still in testing, designed to devastate aircraft carriers with blistering speed. High-precision air-to-ground strike weapons, including airborne variants of the CJ-100 cruise missile, able to level bunkers or ships from hundreds of miles away. But perhaps the most frightening leap comes from directed energy. Analysts believe the J-36 could be fitted with combat lasers, capable of frying reconnaissance drones, burning through incoming missiles, or blinding enemy sensors in the middle of battle. And then there's the loyal wingman doctrine. One J-36 doesn't fight alone. Instead, it commands a swarm of stealth drones, scouts, jammers, or kamikaze decoys, sacrificed to protect the manned jet. Imagine one pilot at the center of a digital wolf pack, directing an entire air war from the cockpit. This isn't just a fighter. It's a flying arsenal, a command ship that turns the sky into its battlefield. If stealth makes the J-36 invisible, its brain makes it unstoppable. At the heart of this fighter lies an AI co-pilot, a digital mind designed not just to assist, but to fight. This isn't autopilot. It's a system that can identify threats, select targets, jam enemy radars, and even fire countermeasures, all in milliseconds, without waiting for human commands. The pilot, meanwhile, wears a helmet-mounted augmented reality display, giving a god's-eye 360-degree view of the battle space. Every radar return, every infrared contact, every drone feed is fused into one seamless picture. The human doesn't fly the jet. The human and the AI fly as one. And then comes the quantum leap. Literally. Analysts suggest the J-36 may one day use quantum communications, tested by China's Misha satellite, to transmit data that cannot be intercepted or jammed. Imagine a fighter jet that talks to its allies in complete radio silence. Even its nervous system is futuristic. Instead of electrical wiring, the J-36 uses flyby optics, signals traveling as pulses of light through fiber optics. The result? A jet immune to electromagnetic attacks, responding faster than human reflexes. Put all this together, and you don't just have a fighter. You have a thinking war machine, designed for the information battlefield as much as the physical sky. Cutting-edge fighters usually come with cutting-edge price tags. America's B-21 bomber costs nearly $29 billion in development, and each unit of its next-gen fighters may exceed $300 million apiece. China, however, is playing a different game. The J-36 program is estimated to cost between $15 and $20 billion. Still massive, but far less than its American counterparts. And here's the real shocker. Each jet could roll off the line for under $150 million. How? By leveraging what China does best. Mass production efficiency, heavy state subsidies for aerospace, industrial mobilization that can churn out dozens, even hundreds of units faster than the West. That price tag matters, because while America and Europe may field a handful of elite, expensive 6th-gen jets, China could flood the skies with squadrons of J-36, good enough, cheap enough, and built in overwhelming numbers. And there's a bigger concern: exports. Nations like Pakistan, Iran, or others seeking a counter to Western air power could become early buyers. Imagine dozens of J-36 stationed not just in China, but across Asia and the Middle East. This isn't just a question of technology, it's a question of scale. And if Beijing gets its way, the J-36 could transform from a national project into a global nightmare for America and its allies. Every new weapon sends a message, and the J-36's message couldn't be clearer. China will not accept second place in the skies. In Washington, defense officials reportedly see the J-36 as a direct challenge to America's next-generation air dominance program. If even half the rumors are true, the US can no longer assume automatic air superiority in the Pacific. Japan and South Korea, sitting right in China's shadow, are alarmed. Both nations are now accelerating their own stealth programs and deepening ties with the US and Europe. The J-36 isn't just forcing military innovation, it's reshaping alliances. Russia, meanwhile, watches with quiet unease. Its Su-57, once hyped as a rival to the F-35, now looks outdated. Moscow must decide: cooperate with Beijing or risk being left behind in the 6th-generation race. But perhaps the biggest shift is symbolic. For decades, China's military aviation was seen as an imitator, copying, reverse engineering, borrowing. The J-36 is Beijing's declaration that those days are over. This jet is more than a machine. It's a political statement. China is ready to lead, not follow. Fast forward to the year 2035. The Pacific is on edge. A crisis breaks out, and Allied forces scramble to respond. The first wave isn't manned fighters. It's swarms of Chinese drones, flooding radar screens, forcing defenders to waste precious missiles. Air defense systems light up, firing at decoys. Then, out of the shadows, the J-36 enters. Invisible to radar, silent to communications intercepts, it commands the chaos. Loyal wingman drones spread across the battle space, jamming signals, hunting AWACS planes, and feeding data back to the mothership fighter. An American F-35 pilot locks on, but before he can fire, the J-36's AI co-pilot reacts at algorithm speed, deploying countermeasures and redirecting power from its engines into cooling systems to mask heat signatures. A split second later, a directed energy beam disables the incoming missile mid-air. This isn't Top Gun. There are no cinematic dogfights. Victory comes in milliseconds, decided not by human reflexes, but by machines thinking faster than humans ever could. And in this wargame, the J-36 doesn't just survive, it dictates the battle. So what is the J-36 really? On paper, it's a stealth monster, an aircraft that blends invisibility, AI, and drone warfare into one terrifying package. To its supporters, it's proof that China has leapt from imitator to innovator, delivering a jet that could rewrite the rules of air combat. But critics remain skeptical. Is the J-36 truly flying today? Or is it a carefully staged illusion, a psychological weapon meant to scare Washington and its allies? Could it actually outperform America's NGAD? Or is it destined to become an overhyped prototype that never leaves the hangar? One truth is certain. The J-36 is more than a jet. It's a symbol, a declaration that the race for 6th-generation supremacy is here, and that the skies of the 21st century may no longer belong to the West alone. And yet, the real suspense has only begun. Because if the J-36 is the future of war in the air, then the question becomes, who will own the 7th generation? Click the video on screen for our deep dive into the secret projects already shaping the race for 7th-gen air power. Or jump to our breakdown of hypersonic drone swarms rewriting the battlefield right now. Until then, let me know in the comments. Is the J-36 the rise of a new superpower? Or just a phantom built to intimidate?